Hey there, well-fed nerd. Welcome to this video, and today we're going to be talking about Spider-Man. I just watched it, and it was awesome. I've got so much to say about this movie, but most of all, it was awesome because it made me feel happy. I just feel good. I just feel happy and full of joy because of a cinematic adventure that I just went on. And it's been a while since the last movie that I saw in theaters was actually Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man Far From Home. So it's been that long since I've been to a movie theater, and what a great way to go back to it. It was so good. I just loved it. So yeah, right now spoilers are off, but I am going to be going full spoilers into this. So you've been warned here. So I'm going to flip the slide over, and if you don't want any Spider-Man spoilers, now's the time. Spoilers on. So I've got a little. There's a reason why I chose this image. So we just got back from the movie, and I'm going into this bit raw. This isn't polished, so I'm just kind of trying to follow a light kind of guideline here, just to talk about everything important. So the movie was Spider-Man. No Way Home. It was pure fan service. If you want to just see like an awesome movie that doesn't have any kind of message involved, it was getting to the point where it was just everything had to have some type of like politics rubbed over it. And I'll talk about, and in the actual Spider-Man series with Tom Holland, in the first Spider-Man movie when they went to the Washington Monument, there was that bit from MJ about the land that they were standing on. It was awkward. And having that kind of thing, just kind of, people go to the movies for escapism. They don't want to be told how bad they are because of political reasons. So thankfully there was none of that in this movie. It was just pure absolute fan service. I loved it. Peter Parker was outed in the second movie by Mysterio, and now everybody knows his identity. And clearly it's a problem, and it causes problems. People knowing Spider-Man is a problem. It will usually like cost them or have a negative effect on them. So in the movie itself, they don't get accepted to the college they want to go to because they know Spider-Man. So he tries to get Doctor Strange to have people forget that he's Spider-Man. So he goes, visits Doctor Strange, they cast some magic, and because of some mistakes during the spell casting, then we get basically access to multiverses. So then after deciding he doesn't want the spell's effect, Doctor Strange bottles up that spell and Peter leaves to go and try and convince the person involved with admissions to let him and his friends, mostly to let his friends into MIT and not to have their association with him be kind of like the defining factor on it. When he goes to talk to her, we've seen this part from the trailer where all of a sudden there's an attack on a bridge and out comes Octavius. We also kind of get a hint, Green Goblin as well. After Otto attacks, Peter kind of defeats him and is able to kind of reason with him. And then they realize that because of the spell, because of what happened with the spell, there's, Spider-Man villains from other dimensions. Doctor Strange tells him to basically round these people up, and then we will send them back to where they came from. Then they find out all these villains are people that died fighting Spider-Man, which is funny because I made a mention of that in one of my videos about how Marvel villains don't seem to last very long. They're fighting against people, so it was funny to see them acknowledge that in a way. Spider-Man confronting and just about to banish these people, and then he changes his mind, decides he wants to try and help and fix these people because then they won't die. He tries to do that, but then things go wrong. People end up escaping. Peter encounters some serious tragedy, and then it moves into that third act, and it's just pure comic book lover, Spider-Man lover joy, 100%. I'm just trying to weigh it out against other things. Like sure, you had more kind of like spectacle and grandeur and like Infinity War and Endgame as far as the fan service there, but this for just pure Spider-Man, it was so great because it was just seeing them all together on screen, three of them at the same time. It was awesome, and I'll tell a little story about that in a minute as well. So ultimately, if you ever want to see Spider-Man versus the Sinister Six, that's hard to say. This was it. It was great. It was absolutely great. So as far as the plot, then there is the third act, the big showdown where three Spider-Men go head to head, all of the villains, and it's great. I liked Tom Holland's Peter Parker more than I liked Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker, but Tobey Maguire will always be Peter Parker to me as far as the first Spider-Man movies go. And it's funny because we're coming up on, I think, 20 years since Spider-Man 1 came out. Where I live now, that was actually the first movie that I saw in the theaters when I moved to this place like 20 years ago. It was quite something. It just, it felt like, it was just kind of part of my history here. As far as the main characters, I liked this version of Zendaya. As some of the performances that she had in the previous Spider-Man movies. Like it just kind of got better as time went on. I didn't really like her so much in the first Spider-Man, a little bit better in number two, and then with this one, this was totally great. Ned is awesome. Oh man, I hope he has a good future in the MCU as far as some type of ongoing character, because yeah, he's so good. His comic relief is really good. The rest of the people in the movie, let's see, Doctor Strange, love having Doctor Strange in a movie. Big fan of the whole magic, multiverse stuff, cosmic type events. So, Doctor Strange is awesome. In the movie, as far as the good guys, of course, we've got Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire come into the movie towards the end. So it was cool to have them in there. Just so great. Like I say, I'll go to some notes here and just kind of riff about that, and then we'll kind of wrap this thing up. How amazing is Willem Dafoe? Like seriously, his Green Goblin, it's just, yeah, it's funny because at the very end, as they're battling all these people and kind of saving them and winning the day, Green Goblin, we have Spider-Man kind of facing off with the Green Goblin. So kind of like where it started is where it ended, kind of bookend with, Spider-Man's original arch villain. So it was really cool to have that, to have Willem Dafoe that doesn't appear to age. Then we had Alfred Molina, Doctor Octopus. Again, like seeing him, it was just like seeing the same guy from Spider-Man 2. It just, like, some of these people just don't age. Toby was looking a little older, Andrew was looking a little bit older. J.K. Simmons is always going to be J. Jonah Jameson. It's amazing how well he portrays that character. Just, yeah, what you would expect from the comics, he's able to bring it on screen. Aunt May, I'll talk about her. Happy. Happy was he kind of really came into his own in this one last scene right at the very end of the movie where they're standing by the gravestone, and it was very poignant. It was very good. It kind of just took Happy up a notch, in my opinion. As far as like what I liked in the movie and what I didn't like, I liked pretty much everything in the movie. Some of the Marvel comedy can get a little bit towards goofy versus being, trying to drop funny. Because when you think Spider-Man, you think quips, right? Like him and his, when he's going toe to toe with the villain, he's really good at, dropping quips during the whole time. So, they're able to bring that throughout the film. I liked that we had multiple costumes in the film. Everything from like a cobbled together hand sewn costume to, the Iron Spider costume. There was, I think, probably 4 different costumes. And then plus you had the 2 other Spider-Men, Toby and Andrew, wearing their costumes from their universes, their movies. So it was just so total and so complete as far as just like a Spider-Man movie. Just wanted to give the fans something that they would just enjoy and love. And based on the box office numbers, what did it do? $250 million in the first weekend? So yeah, Spider-Man is the original Marvel superhero on screen that just blew it away, and he continues to be the most popular character. There really wasn't anything, as far as like just geeking out and just being a fangirl over this entire Spider-Man movie. That's just kind of what it feels like. It was just really good. It's just one of those things where you're going to see something again immediately after you finish watching it the first time, and this is one of those movies, right? Like with other movies, like I did watch Black Widow, I did watch Shang-Chi, and at the end of those, I was just like, okay, done. Like I don't, that's cool, watched it. Do you want to see it again? Nah, I'm good. I saw it. With this one, like I cannot wait to see it again. I can't wait to see it again. As far as like lessons from the story, like there was a lot of different morals and stories to this movie. It was like with great power comes great responsibility, but also like great loss. Like all of them had tragedies that they had to overcome. Like it's just tied into the Spider-Man character, right? Because he kind of, got these powers and became more superhuman. Other people around him had to suffer and ultimately die because of it. So, overcoming that, it was pretty heavy when May died, as far as, like losing someone like that. But what got me was the whole, shortly after that, when he was on the roof and talking about like, he said, I'm done with it. Like it's over. I give up. I'm done with this. And it was just the way that he said that actually kind of, I wasn't crying, you were crying, but, that was pretty hard hitting. So, I would recommend this movie to everyone Yeah, I mean, if you like having fun, if you enjoy movies, if you enjoy like superhero movies in any way, shape, or form, yeah, it was great. There was nothing to it. There was no, like I say, there was no messaging. If anything, it was like they kind of made fun of it at the beginning because when Spider-Man was walking through a crowd, one was like, "He hit me, he hit my hand, he hit me." So it was like, I don't know, it was kind of like they were making fun of that kind of awful shrewish behavior. I'd have to look back and like watch it again to see if there was like some type of flaws or something I could point out about it that I wasn't down with, or but this is just day one, like we literally just got out less than an hour ago, so I just wanted to come in and drop some talk and give my review about this. It's funny because Flash Thompson puts out a book and tries to capitalize on Spider-Man like being associated with them. So he has this book called Flashpoint, and I think thought it was funny because that's like basically the next DC movie that's coming out is going to be the Flashpoint movie. So I don't know if that was just kind of a nod to DC or what, but his self promotion with the book was funny as well. But I just thought it was funny that it was named Flashpoint. It could have been like, I don't know, flash of lightning, flash before your eyes, some type of other use of the word flash. But the fact that they went with Flashpoint, I thought was kind of funny. Seeing, yeah, when we went through the drive-through at Starbucks after we got done the movie, talking to the barista there, and she was like, making the idle chit chat. How's your day? And we're like, awesome. We just got done watching Spider-Man. She was like, oh my God, wasn't this so good? We said, yeah. And she was like, what was your favorite part? So I said, for me, it was seeing all three Spider-Man on screen. She was like, yeah, it was awesome. Seeing them all standing together like that. And she said, I just started watching the Tom Holland Spider-Man ones recently. Tobey Maguire, like they're good, but Tobey Maguire will always be my Spider-Man. So I just was like, wow, because she was pretty young. So I was like, did you watch the first Spider-Man when you were like 5 or 6 or what? Because yeah, from what I could see, she looked like a fairly young person, but yeah, she enjoyed the movie as well. And just seeing like how happy that the movie made her, and yeah, it like kind of choked me up a bit, just like hearing how much she was, enjoyed the movie, and the fact that she was like, yeah, Tobey Maguire is original Spider-Man and the best Spider-Man. So it just, yeah, I think what made me emotional about it was the fact that it made me realize how much they effed up Star Wars. So I'm not gonna lie, it choked me up. It actually, when we were done with his Aunt May gets killed, it was pretty heavy, pretty emotional. I could feel myself kind of, I was like, oh, this is intense. But later, right after that, when he was like, I'm done, and Tom Holland was, yeah, he was crying and talking about how he's done being Spider-Man. That was pretty gnarly. That was, yeah, I wasn't crying, you were crying. So magic, oh my God, magic in the MCU. I don't know, I really dig that type of thing. So cool in the Doctor Strange movie, the way they use magic and kind of tie in that whole kind of Inception, like buildings and scenery folding in on itself, and long like falling through landscapes and stuff. So yeah, if you like that at all, you're gonna enjoy it in this movie because there's lots of that, and it just looks cool. And now apparently we're tying it into What If, because yeah, at the end we had the evil Doctor Strange from like the What If series that Disney just put out. So that's kind of wild. I guess that means we're going to have a Beyonder soon, and we're going to, I guess, have different multiverses, which I don't know. I mean, I like it, but I don't like it because then it kind of takes away from like the finality of things, right? Because we could have a Black Widow if we need more Scarlett Johansson. We can just pull a Black Widow from another multiverse, and now she's in this one, so actually she's not dead. It's like I say, there's good and bad potential there, so I'm interested to see what they do with by incorporating the animated What If universe as well. At one point, 3 Spider-Men are talking, and it's pretty funny because it's a scene. It's like if you put 3 versions of Spider-Man together, what would they talk about? So they kind of answer that question, and they get intrigued by the fact that Tobey Maguire can just shoot webs out of his body, and the other 2 have to go and like make some type of web shooter, web concoction. And at one point, Tobey Maguire is talking to Andrew Garfield, and he's like, no, you're amazing, dude. You're amazing. You're amazing. Because as I've got in the picture, Tobey Maguire was Spider-Man, and then when they rebooted with Andrew Garfield, then we had the Amazing Spider-Man. So the fact that he was saying it over and over was pretty poignant and pretty funny. And then we had Tobey Maguire leaning over a railing, talking about how his back was tight, his back was hurting him. It's kind of a nod to when he got injured filming Spider-Man. There was issue with that as far as him being hurt and not being able to complete the project. And last thing that I got in here was that it was, yeah, just pure fan service. If you like the Spider-Man movies, you're going to like this one, especially if you were like, oh, I really like Spider-Man 1 and 2. Andrew Garfield ones were okay. Tom Holland, like depending on know. I like Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Tobey's is still by far the best. Spider-Man 2 is still the best in the series. I don't know. I say that now. We'll see how this one holds up the next time I see it. It was really great. Really great to see them all together at the same time on the screen. And then that third act was just so great. It was funny, the music, because if you played any of the Spider-Man VR stuff, as I indeed have, you'll recognize the music in the movie right away. It's pretty funny. Dr. Octopus. Seriously, that guy doesn't age. Like, he just looks so, he just looks so much like his character from Spider-Man 2. Him and Green Goblin, they both really brought it. And it was just cool the way they did it, the way they kind of brought it full circle, where it was like Spider-Man, kind of saves himself. And it was just, it was really good. Just a good movie that just brought back your faith in that Hollywood can produce entertainment. And it's funny because when the movie opens, first thing that you see is Sony, then you see Columbia Pictures, and then you see Marvel. So the fact that it was ordered, done in that order, that definitely means something. So I hope Marvel realizes what it takes to make a good movie, or that Sony can keep showing them, so that Marvel can stop making crappy movies and just go back to making good stuff that people, will go to see in droves. Because, our theater was pretty full for like a daytime matinee movie. And judging by how a random barista was at Starbucks, it's an awesome movie. You will dig it. Go see it. If you haven't seen it, go see it. And I'm probably going to be talking more about this movie in the future because it was great. So that's it. That's kind of what I wanted to just get down in regards to this. And I'll see you in the next video.